What's up, sneaky people? It's your boy FB Kicks in Gear, and I am back with another video. And we have another legit check guide on the Travis Scott One Low Phantoms. And this will be a reference guide video as opposed to a real versus fake because I still don't have an authentic pair. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not 100% sure that I will. I'm still teetering on whether or not I want to shell out the $700 for the authentic pair. But because of my experience on all of the other lows, I've got a pretty good idea of what to talk about and what's good, what's bad. So, yeah, so we'll start talking about the shoes. And I'm going to say, without blatantly telling people to go buy reps, because that is against YouTube terms of service, I'm going to say, as a legit checker, if I was someone that did want to buy reps, this would be it. This would be it because it does all the things that when I'm looking for a Travis Scott One Low and I am legit checking them and I'm doing my comparisons, it's got everything that I care about to try and differentiate these from real versus fake. And that is huge. That is huge. Usually I can get super nitpicky on the reverse mochas, the fragment lows, the Travis One highs, and all that other stuff. But these, I'm impressed. That's what I'm going to do. So first things first, obviously, I will leave the BMW SF Instagram page where you'll find more detailed pictures of this specific shoe so that you can do your research. And with all their information up there, let's get into the shoe itself. Now, this is not my favorite Travis Scott One Low. The fragments probably take that, and then it's a tie between the OG pair and the reverse mochas, but these are not bad. You know, pictures make them seem like they're just an all black shoe, but they're not an all black shoe. They've got some contrast. The suede and the nubuck paired together does a lot for the shoe, and it does really well. But this rep does a ton right, and you guys know what I look for when it comes to legit checking these. I look for that toe, that bulbous toe in the profile. You see it, it's not too thick, it's not too thin, but it bulges out. And this on the other shoe too, it bulges out. That is a very important thing to look for all Travis One lows. That's important. Another thing that it has, and obviously there are varying degrees of it based on the release, but what I always like to see, because more oftentimes than not when you're looking at specific size ranges, I like to see the Nike Air tag and the Cactus Jack tag really close together. And I just want to clarify, because I know this comes up a lot when I'm talking about close together. Most importantly, I'm talking about the corner of this tag here touching or almost touching here. Sometimes there might be a gap in the body depending on how you look at it, but where it's stitched will always be close to the side tag. So that's important. Most important on the right shoe, but it's good to see it on the left shoe too, and this pair does have that. So meanwhile, understand that a lot of what I'm saying, this pair gets right. So they're general tips in general, because there's not much that I can really say bad about this, but keep that in mind as I'm going through this. So the tags are good. Another thing that's important, and which will really differentiate your low quality fakes from your higher end fakes, is the color of the Nike Air on the tongue. While it might look white from a distance, it's actually a gray, a very light gray. It's darker than the white stitching that surrounds the shoe. So keep that in mind. If you see this as a bright white, you know you're dealing with a fake, or a lower quality fake, I should say, and you can see it here. The next thing that you want to see is your proximity of the reverse swoosh. It's not too sunken. It's close to that second hole like you like to see. And the next thing that I feel like is super easy to do, because I've seen other reps that do it badly. The Cactus Jack on the inside of each shoe is not supposed to be really prominent or really bold. It's supposed to almost fade in to the nubuck a little bit. This is a little bit darker than I would see on retail. I've actually seen some where it almost looks like the Cactus Jack was almost sanded a little bit to decrease visibility on it. But this is probably the best that I've seen in a fake, and people should people should be very cautious of it. If the letters are bold and bulky, you know it's wrong. So look for something like this. If it's hard to see, or it's harder to see, I should say, you are more than likely looking at a high-end fake or an authentic pair. Moving on from the inside Cactus Jack text, the next kind of defining feature that I would say is the back of the shoes, back of the heels. Now, unlike any other pair, on the right shoe we have this bee fly looking thing, and on this particular pair it is not as clean as I've seen some retail pairs, especially in the legs. But I'm gonna tell you, there are certain things that I try to look for, and I try to look for like the shapes inside the embroidery to see if there's something that I can see that's similar across the authentic pairs that I look at. And I've got to say, not a single pair that I've seen is consistent in terms of the embroidery, and for the life of me, I can't tell you why. Now, all that said, what I did notice is that the legs will be cleaner than this, especially on the top over here. You won't see as much splitting in the stitching, so keep that in mind. But when it does come to this overall, I'm not seeing a lot of consistency. They don't always have the same gaps in the wings. They don't always have the same gaps in the little abdomen down there. So something that you can look at, but it's really not something that I can say you can really use to legit check unless it is extremely sloppy. So keep that in mind. But this, I would say this is a little bit on the sloppier side, but authentic pairs, they vary a ton, so you can't really hone in on anything specifically. Same thing goes for the Air Jordan back here. You guys have seen my Travis Scott low reviews in the past, and I tell you that this is completely inconsistent and generally pretty sloppy on authentic pairs, and I really don't like to hold too much stock in here. And same thing goes for here. I've seen thin letters, thick letters, disgusting little crappy embroidery, cleaner embroidery, but generally it looks bad, it looks crappy, and these are right in line with the authentic pair. So that's all I can really say. When it comes to the tongue tags behind the Nike Air, one thing that I have noticed is that the lettering is a little bit more vibrant in red than on authentic pairs. And maybe one day I'll be able to do a side-by-side so you can see it, but they tend to be a little bit darker of a red, almost like a blood red, as opposed to a varsity red like here. So pay attention to that. The text looks crisp and clean, like I would normally see on Jordan 1 tongue tag, so I can't really say much there. And outside of that, we have the laces. And the one thing that I can say about the laces is that the authentic laces for these specifically, and I'm talking about the black and white pattern laces, the white on the laces itself is usually almost like an off-white. It's not a bright, perfect white. And the reps, for whatever reason, they are that bright, perfect white. So that is probably, I would say it's probably going to be one of the main things that you can look at in terms of authentication. But you will 100% need access to an authentic pair to tell these apart, because they are so close and they're so good. There's not really anything that I can hone in on that throws up alarms, because Nike QC isn't that great anymore. And this uses a huge mix of materials that can have a lot of variation, but everything else is pretty typical for a Travis Scott Jordan 1. So I'm fairly impressed, and I will say you guys have to be careful out there, because these reps are getting good. I'm sure that if you took out the insole and looked at the insole stitching, put it up on an authentication app, it would be able to tell you that these are not authentic. But other than that, you guys better better be on your game, or at the very least have an authentic pair with you so that you can compare, take it to a consignment shop or whatever. But if this is what you're in the market for, let's just say you're in a really good position to be into replicas. So I'll leave it at that. I'm never going to push anyone one way or the other. Buy what you like, buy what you want to buy. But I will say that these will give you a run for your money, and you should be scared if you are trying to avoid these. So grab your pairs on the authentic market now, so before these really start making their way and flooding, because I'm telling you, it's going to be a problem once they get out there. But like I said, I'm going to leave the Instagram page where you can see all the detailed pictures, close-ups, everything that I talked about in the video, so that you can evaluate, do your own research, and do all that good stuff that I like to tell you guys to do. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave it in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But until then, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.